Christina Brown here with the Brown team at Sage Door Realty, and if you own a home, I have some great tips for protecting it. When we think about protecting our homes, there's a few different ways and directions we can cover, such as the first way is protecting your home physically against invaders, theft. My number one tip is get to know your neighbors. Again, this is if you have good neighbors that you can trust. Our neighbors are really good, and they'll tell us when they're going to be out of town and things of that nature, so we can keep an eye. We have each other's phone numbers. You should definitely do that when you have neighbors. Get to know them. Let them get to know you. Of course, the obvious is keep all of your doors and windows locked. But along those lines, if you move into a home, you don't know how many people have keys, so change your locks. If not just that, but when you do get keys, be guarded with them and be careful who you give keys to. Anything valuable you have in your home hidden, and that includes things in your vehicle too. So keep your vehicle locked, keep things hidden, hide your garage remote. That's a common thing people will steal to get into your house. What about installing a security system? That's the obvious. And the other thing too is don't allow there to be dark spots, hidden spots, like hiding places. Keep those bushes trimmed in front of your home to where you can clearly see out your front window. People driving by can clearly see, where it makes it very difficult for people to hide out. And of course, have great exterior lighting. So think lots and lots of lighting, even motion lights that come on when there's activity outside. Anything that could possibly deter the person that's trying to break in. The next way we should protect ourselves, and I've talked about this a little bit before, is by protecting your home's title. There are so many types of fraud happening now. There are so many criminals trying to do all sorts of crazy things and steal people's identity. Well, they are also stealing titles to homes. The number one thing is to have title insurance. Most of the time when you bought a home, you have title insurance. When you sell, have title insurance. That's the number one greatest way to protect yourself. But also another great way is just be in the know. Monitor your credit. Pay attention to what's going on with your credit. And another good way is to monitoring mail that comes in. Open every piece of mail. Alerts can come in the mail that can alert if there is an issue with a change in title that maybe you didn't authorize. So very important. Monitoring public records. There are title alert services you could pay for. And then of course, just protecting your personal information in general will help make it more difficult for people to get your information, steal your title, all of that stuff. And then of course, if you sense any foul play, you become aware of anything wrong, report it to the authorities, call the police, turn them in, make a report. Very important, and that you jump on those things quickly and immediately. And then the last way I'm going to talk about today to protect your home is, of course, have really good insurance coverage. Have a really good comprehensive discussion with your insurance agent. Of course, you want to shop around, you want to get the best deal, but also remember you are talking about protecting the largest asset that you will likely own, and you don't want to be chintzy. You don't want to have this really crazy high deductible if something happens, and so have really great insurance coverage. With that said, you should also review your coverage once a year. And the types of coverage is, of course, you want to cover the actual dwelling, the structure, to cover the personal property or contents inside. If you have a fire or flood or something happens and you have to replace everything, you want to make sure you have enough coverage for that. And then, of course, hazard insurance, which is things like fire, flood, earthquake coverage if you live in an area like that. There's all sorts of different coverages available. Again, have a discussion with your insurance agent because every area is different. Certain regions of the country and other places, you might have coverage there where you wouldn't have here, and vice versa. And then, of course, your personal property. You know that if you have anything special of greater value, that you should consider having an insurance policy or a coverage for that particular item. If you have expensive jewelry, artwork, some sort of heirloom antique that's worth a lot of money, whatever, anything like that, consider adding coverage specifically for those types of items to protect you. And then of course, liability related insurance. If you run a business out of your home especially, you should consider it. What if somebody trips or falls or gets hurt from something on your property? But make sure you understand your policy, that you go over it with your insurance agent, that you know the exclusions, know what's being covered, know what's not being covered. And then of course, this is the number one thing that I think people forget to think about, is you should once a year go around with a camera and record or take pictures of all the contents in your home. So if something happens, you can prove, yeah, I did have that instrument over here, or that artwork over here, or this expensive, collection of whatever. You want to have those things documented and have proof of that, because if they get destroyed, you're gonna have a hard time getting paid on your policy for those types of things. So there's some advice, ways to protect yourself, ways to protect your home, and maybe ways you haven't thought about for a while or haven't updated in a while. So get out there and do it, and y'all have a great day.